United Kingdom is taking over the chair of the Committee of Ministers in November and will keep that position until May next year. And of course there are already discussions about the program during that chairmanship period, and that's why it's particularly welcome that we have the Attorney General present here today. So without further ado, I welcome you and give the floor to you.
Well, thank you very much, and I would like to start by thanking Commissioner Hammarberg for inviting me here to talk at the launch of this important report. Across Europe, it's clear that there's been a great deal of progress in recent years on lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender issues. It's worth remembering that in Britain as recently as 1967, when the law was changed, people like the pioneer of computer sciences, Alan Turing, could still be prosecuted for homosexual acts between consenting adults. In fact, in 1952, Turing was forced to accept chemical castration as an alternative to prison, which we would now look as an utterly disgraceful way to treat one of our greatest scientists. Now we have many openly gay and lesbian people in all walks of life, from politics to science to business. But it's also clear that we've got a long way to go. And across Europe, there are still too many tragic incidents of hate crime and still too much prejudice. And I might add, I think, a lot of ignorance. And therefore, as a result of that, the fear and the intolerance which comes of it, of lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender people. Now, every government has a responsibility to protect all of its people, no matter what their sexual orientation or their gender identity. All Council of Europe countries are party to the European Convention on Human Rights. And Article 14 of the Convention states quite unequivocally that all rights and freedoms must be secured without discrimination on any grounds. And the European Court of Human Rights has recognised that this includes discrimination on the grounds of sexual orientation. But despite this, and despite the fact that homosexuality has now been decriminalised in all member states of the Council of Europe, lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender people and their defenders continue to face deeply rooted prejudices, hostility and widespread discrimination. Can mount physical violence and verbal abuse, restrictions on freedom of expression, freedom of assembly and freedom of association, and violations of rights to respect for private and family life and to rights to education, work and health, all accompanied by stigmatisation. So as a consequence, many such people across Europe still live in fear and have to conceal their sexual orientation or gender identity. So it's vitally important, I suggest, that all European countries ensure that tackling violence and discrimination remains at the top of their human rights agenda. The recommendations in the Commissioner's report will assist Member States in taking action to combat violence and discrimination in this area, and the United Kingdom warmly welcomes the report. We will now look to build on the momentum created within the Council of Europe and to work with other countries to implement the recommendations. I'd like to tell you a little bit about how things are in the United Kingdom. I'm proud to say that the UK is already doing a great deal to tackle discrimination and to promote equal opportunities and equal treatment for all. Last March, we published the UK's first ever cross-government action plan on lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender equality. It outlined an ambitious range of actions we will take, from tackling homophobic bullying in schools, improving our response rate to hate crime, to promoting rights abroad for such people. I want to highlight just a few of the areas where we're taking action. Many of them, I think, fit very well with the Commissioner's conclusions and should help address some of the issues which we need to focus on. So, for example, we're building on our existing civil partnership legislation, which has been a great success. We've begun a consultation on allowing religious organisations that wish to do so to host civil partnership registrations. We're looking at this issue because one religious group, like the Quakers, has told us they want to be able to do this. I should make clear No organisation that doesn't want to host a civil partnership registration will have to do so. There's no coercion in this whatsoever. And it's crucial to strike the right balance between lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender equality and religious freedom. Our ambitions go even further. We will also be looking at how legislation can develop in future to try to provide equality between civil marriages and civil partnerships. It's an area currently under review. We've also launched a charter to tackle homophobia and transphobia in sport. The main sport national governing bodies, including the Football Association, and over 1,100 individuals have already signed up. We do need many more to spread the message in the United Kingdom and around the world that there is no room for homophobia and transphobia in sports. We all need to work together to make sport a welcoming environment for all people. We've also improved the recording of hate crimes against lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender people. From April this year, police forces have been required to collect this data, which will be published next year as official statistics. And True Vision, which is a new hate crime information website, has come online in February and includes an online hate crime reporting portal. We've also started engaging with the transgender community so they can shape the first ever government transgender equality action plan, which we'll publish by the end of this year. Our first survey to the transgender community received almost 1,300 responses and is the biggest survey of the community ever conducted in the United Kingdom. But we don't intend to allow our actions and commitment just to stop at our own national borders. We do recognise that this is a group of people who continue to suffer really serious persecution around the world. Homosexuality is still illegal in over 70 countries worldwide, and it's punishable by the death penalty in 8. We're committed to ensuring that all people are free to live their lives in a safe and just environment. And we think that we have already achieved a great deal to progress such equality internationally. We've stopped the deportation of asylum seekers who've had to leave particular countries because their sexual orientation or gender identity puts them at proven risk of imprisonment, torture or execution. We played an active role in the development of the Council of Europe's recommendations, measures to combat discrimination on grounds of sexual orientation or gender identity, and we will work towards their full implementation in the UK and across Europe. And we strongly support the UN Statement on Human Rights Violations based on sexual orientation, which was supported by over 80 countries. And I'm particularly pleased that the UN Human Rights Council has passed a historic resolution noting concerns about acts of violence and discrimination committed against lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender people wherever they live. This is actually, I think, a groundbreaking achievement and testament to the real progress that we're all making on this agenda. So we've achieved a lot, but these are only the first steps. There is still a great deal more to do. We will continue to use our political dialogue with other countries to push for the recognition of lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender rights and advocate changes to discriminatory practices and laws. Today's report is a blueprint for future action to progress these matters across Europe. Every country in Europe needs to act as a leader, a catalyst and an advocate for change. Because alone, we can only ever make limited progress. It will be the cooperation all of us in the international community have put together which will make the equality we're seeking for lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender people a reality. The Council of Europe can be a driving force in achieving this, but we do all need to get our own houses in order first. Our message should be clear. Equality is for everyone. We must all work together to make homophobia and transphobia history. If we do work together, the fears which largely underlie this form of persecution and discrimination will be dissipated, and we will all wake up one day and realise how ludicrous the discrimination that previously existed actually was. Thank you very much.